spaghetti is like ramen with a kick, because it's like, you get the noodles. You know that it's this like wheat grain, something that comes out of the ground. Basically the same material, maybe a little bit different, but basically the same, even though it may taste a little bit different because every single kind of bread or noodle is a little bit different. Different noodles have different textures and sizes, and some are fat, and some are skinnier, and some are thicker, and some are, tastier or sweeter. You have different tastes, but you know that it's all just like grain, it's all like wheat, it's all basically the same thing. You know that it's not like they're from different food families where one is like fruit and the other one is like vegetable, where they're totally like opposites, or one is like grain and the other one is like fish or some kind of meat. You know that spaghetti and noodles are basically the same thing. And you have all these different things that are made out of wheat, and like people in America and Europe, and like a lot of white people, uh, they have a lot of wheat in their diet. And they don't have a lot of other things in their diet. And so like they could spend all day just eating wheat, but eating wheat in different combinations, and that's only one food family. So it's like in the morning you could have like pancakes, that's made out of wheat, and then for for lunch you could have like a sandwich with bread, and that's wheat too, and then for dinner you can have like spaghetti, and that's like noodles made out of wheat. So it's like every meal is wheat, and I guess it's okay if you have like wheat all day, but it's like you might not be eating other things, and you might be eating too much wheat and not enough of other things. And the wheat could be like not whole grain wheat, doesn't where it doesn't have like the right or enough vitamins and minerals and things, because they kind of take it out and then they kind of put it back in, and they put preservatives and artificial flavors and artificial things into, like, the wheat, the noodles, the bread, the different foods, to make it last longer, to have a better store life, so it doesn't like fall apart as fast. Which sounds all good and dandy, but there are side kicks, no, side effects, to an extent, different extents. When you change things, there are consequences. When you change the foods that God makes. Nonetheless, I really like spaghetti since I was 6 years old. Especially when I was 6 years old, I was eating a lot of spaghetti, and it's like, especially like my mom would make it. Especially when my mom would make it, I would eat a lot of spaghetti when I was 6 years old. I remember eating spaghetti when I was 6 years old. At least one time, I remember I was like 6 years old, and I was like climbing the tree in our front yard, our maple tree, maple syrup tree, maple syrup. You never really made maple syrup out of the tree. And I'm like climbing it, or kind of climbing it, or something. I don't know how high I can get when I'm only 6 years old, but like my mom tells me, "Come into the house. It's time for dinner." So like I think I could smell it, or I'm not sure. I just kind of know it's dinner time, so I come inside and I eat spaghetti. And so that's when I was 6 years old in 1991, the year 1991, and it was really exciting. And but then later, like when I was 7 years old, I would eat like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I would make my own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I didn't really know how to make spaghetti, and probably still don't, when I was 6 years old. But my mom would make spaghetti when I was 6, and I would eat spaghetti. And then the next year, when I was 7, I would like make my own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and eat them a lot. Or sometimes we had like different like canned foods, and I would just like eat that, like green beans or something. And then, you know, like I'm 6 years old, I eat spaghetti. 7 years old, I eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. 8 years old, oatmeal, and I started making my own oatmeal. But you know, I really do like oatmeal. But spaghetti is really delicious, and it's almost like I'm thinking about eating spaghetti today. But I think I need to like not, because I need to not spend a lot of money. And if I go to the cafe where they have spaghetti, like the drinks cost more, like a little bit more. like, how do I say, how much more? Basically, in Vietnamese money, you can buy a drink that's like chocolate cooler drink. You can buy it for about 22,000. That's about $1. But then at this other cafe, you buy the same chocolate cooler drink for like 32,000. So this is, it's a little bit more, and it's more than $1, but it's still more money. And it's like I kind of don't want to go to that cafe, spend more money on the chocolate cooler. I want to pay less money. But if I go to the cafe, I can get spaghetti, and I really like spaghetti because it has meatball and it has tomato. You know, it's like tomatoes are not just for throwing at people on the stage that you don't like. It's also for eating. And then you have the meatball, and you know everybody likes to have meat in their diet, and sometimes we usually eat more meat than we should. It's like we're all kings. Like back in the day, the kings would have more meat, and the common people they would have enough money to buy meat, but they would be healthier. Like Daniel and his men, they went on a diet for 10 days where they like ate vegetables and water, didn't eat any meat, and they became healthier. And that happens. So I'm here to say that spaghetti is like ramen, but more delicious than ramen. So if you have to pick between spaghetti or ramen, pick spaghetti. Unless if you're a college student and you're really poor, then you gotta eat ramen, you gotta eat noodles, you may not be able to afford spaghetti. But then again, at the same time, you can turn any kind of noodles into spaghetti because they're basically the same. I know like the noodles are different, like the spaghetti noodles are different than the noodles, but they're kind of the same. So it's like, you know, if you have noodles that aren't spaghetti noodles, you can just like add sauce and meat. Or if you don't have enough money for meat and meatballs, just add some spaghetti sauce and it'll basically be spaghetti. What do you think about that? What do you like more, spaghetti or noodles? What are your favorite foods? And what kind of foods should I talk about later? Let me know in the comments. And do you ever like eat too much? Do you ever like not know if you're hungry or full and you're like, I think I'm hungry. No, I think I'm full. Because I do that sometimes. Do you ever get like food poisoning and like a tummy